Hello, in this video about the designated supports that are available to some students on Aware Online Tests, I'm going to talk about the 5 available supports right now. Those are text-to-speech, content clarifiers, spelling assistance, calculator, and Spanish interface. Now, spelling assistance and calculator can also be assigned to the class as a whole or to the entire to all students who are taking the online assessment by the test author, but they are also available to certain students on other assessments where assigning them to the entire class would not be appropriate. So when a student logs into an online assessment, if they have these designated supports, they will be the only students who can see it. So right now, this student has Spanish interface set up as one of their supports, so you can see it does not translate the test into Spanish, but it actually translates the testing controls into Spanish. Now, this student has calculator set up as one of their designated supports. It's only available to this student and a few other students who are taking the test, not the class as a whole. And this student also has text-to-speech as evidenced by the speech bubbles that are available and the speak options control where they can adjust the volume, speed, and gender of the voice. The other designated support that the student has assigned is content clarifiers. I can tell because of these blue dotted underlined symbols, and so when I hover over that content clarifier, an image pops up and lets the student know, gives them a little bit more information about what cartons of canned vegetables means. Content clarifiers can also be text, so for example, I've got precipitation, and then I've got this content clarifier rainfall, and also since this student has text-to-speech as well, all content clarifiers that are text, or if there's any words assigned as alt text for an image, can be read on the questions. If there's text content clarifiers in a reading passage, for example, those will not be read to them, but they would still be able to see the words. The other designated support that the student has is spelling assistance. This online support has been turned on just for this student. It has not been turned on for the class as a whole, and so this student will see the red underlined words when they misspell a word, and they're able to go back and right click and then get some spelling assistance. It really just allows the Aware online testing site to access the built-in spell checker in the internet browser. So now let's look at how you actually set up some of those designated supports. Some of them must be set up by the test administrator ahead of time. So what we're going to do is, once we are on the assessment tab and we've opened up our assessment, you can see on the questions tab that this is where I can access those content clarifiers. So if I'm wanting to add any more content clarifiers, of course that's where I would do it, but I have to set up those content clarifiers here. To set up spelling assistance and calculator for the student, I come to the online tab, and when it's not enabled here, then that means that the entire class will not get it, and I actually will have to go turn that on for individual students. So if this is meant to be a designated support for some students, do not enable this. Also, calculator is not enabled for the entire class, but if you know you're going to have some students who will require calculator, you need to turn it on. Make sure you set the appropriate calculator and then disable it. That way the entire class doesn't see it, but it sets up the appropriate calculator for your students. For text-to-speech, also on the online tab, make sure you set the language. It is absolutely essential for Spanish language tests. If you've got a Spanish math test or a Spanish language arts reading test, you definitely need to make sure that you set that language, because the default language for text-to-speech is English. So for English testers, it will just be one extra thing for them to play with if you don't set it up, but for Spanish testers, they will have to go in and change that voice to that language to Spanish in their text-to-speech settings. Otherwise, it's going to sound really, really, really bad. It's not going to sound like somebody reading Spanish accurately or appropriately.